The world often feels like control is the answer to our fears and uncertainty. I want to show you how you can let go of control and surrender to God's divine plan. The Bible offers us invaluable insights, teaching, and truth, urging us to release control and place our trust in God's unwavering wisdom. Let's explore how God's love, His word, and His character can guide us through this area of control. Hey friend, what's up? My name is Maggie, and welcome back to my channel where I help equip and develop Christian women to heal, learn, and grow a relational lifestyle with Jesus. So today we're talking about control freaks. What does it look like to let go of control and embrace uncertainty? First, we have to talk about why we like to control. I want you to know it's in our DNA to want to know the end of a thing. Not only is our brain wired for it, but when we look at it from a spiritual lens and you read the story of Adam and Eve, the reason they bit the fruit was because they wanted to know something, right? Whether or not she was deceived by the serpent, whether or not Adam blamed the woman, it doesn't matter. The point is that they did it because they wanted to know. Another reason is because some people just don't like surprises. I remember not liking surprises. I actually had to do some thought work behind liking surprises. When I first got with my husband, he would try to surprise me, and it was like I tried everything I could to find out what he was doing before he did it. And I remember him telling me, like, you don't let me surprise you. So when he asked me why, I didn't know at the time. But after some processing, I got back to him and I was like, you know what? I figured out why I don't like surprises. And he said, well, what is it? And it was because back in the day, I realized that surprises in my childhood meant, oh my God, my parents are breaking up. Surprises meant someone's going to jail. Surprises meant so-and-so's moving in. Like I had so many different events in my life where surprises weren't necessarily good. And so from that point on, even as a grown-up, I didn't like surprises. So that required some thought work from me in order to even like surprises, right? So what happens when we do try to control situations that are out of our control? Number one, we get anxious, right? We feel that anxiety because we want to know. And anxiety in and of itself, I want you to think about this for a second. Anxiety is produced by worrying about the situation now and anticipating different outcomes of this situation and it not going very well. So in essence, what we're doing is we're trying to be God. God is sovereign and God is omnipresent. Therefore, He is everywhere at all times. And so it's God's job to know the future. And the moment that we step into this position that's not ours, i.e. sovereignty, that's when anxiety really starts having its way with us. Another thing that happens when we try to control a situation is that we grow resentful. Let's say you're in a relationship. Let's say you lost your job. Let's say you're in school. Where you find your life right now is not necessarily where you want to be. So you try to control the situation and then you grow resentful because you're doing all this trying and nobody's noticing. When we're caring for loved ones, the reason we grow resentful is because we're doing all this trying. We're trying to control the outcome. And when our trying is not recognized in the relationship, it's not recognized by our teachers. If we're trying to look for a job and it's not recognized by our spouse, we grow resentful. I looked up the etymology of the word resentful. Check out what this means, okay? It says resentful is a deep sense of injury. It's the excitement of passion which proceeds from a sense of wrong offered to oneself, one's kindred, or one's friend. It's deep feelings of pain and distress. When I read that, I was like, ooh, that cut really deep, because that's what resentment does. It's a deep, distressful injury of oneself. Why do I need you to pay attention to that? Because resentment is an inside job. right? We create the resentment that we feel because of what's happening on around us. So when we try to control things, i.e. people, situations, circumstances, and it's not going our way, we can grow resentful. But really what we're doing is we're injuring ourselves with that resentment simply because we're not getting the acknowledgement, the validation, the celebration, the praise, or the attention that we want from that event, from that person, from that thing. So what can we do? How can we start working on letting go of control and really embracing uncertainty? Number one, no matter how bad the situation, you can always ask yourself, what am I certain of? What are the things that I'm certain about in this situation? The Bible says in Philippians 1:6, I am convinced of this, that he who begun a good work in me is faithful to complete it. So in this situation that you can't control, the one thing you can ask yourself is that, what am I certain that God is working out in me? How is God trying to grow me in this situation? There are things that you can be certain of in the midst of the chaos. Sometimes you have to affirm yourself. If we're talking about resentment and anxiety, with anxiety, casting your cares upon him is what's going to help you. But with resentment, you have to be certain why you started that thing in the first place. Why did you start the business? Why did you enter the relationship? Why did you move to the other state? What was the reason? What are you certain about? And how can you hold on to that value even in the midst of your chaos? Philippians 4:6-7 says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, lift up prayer and petition with thanksgiving to the Lord, and make your requests known unto him. So what does that really mean? Can you thank God in the midst of your anxiety? Can you trust God through the process of your anxiety? It says that lift up your prayer with thanksgiving, which tells me that there is a way that your anxiety can even work for you. What if your anxiety is kind of like, hey, pay attention to me? What if your anxiety is the alarm that you need to go cast your worries upon Christ, to cast your cares upon him, to find rest for your soul? What if you start making anxiety work for you? I think too many of us want things to just go away. We want to get rid of the anxiety. We want to get rid of the fear. We want to get rid of the shame. And I want you to know that sometimes it happens all at once, and sometimes it just takes practicing your new nature, which leads me to my next point. One way to start letting go of control is start asking yourself, what is working here? What is working for me in this relationship? What is working for me in me not having a job right now? What is working for me in me moving to another state? What anxiety and worry wants you to do is that it wants you to focus on all of the negative things. It wants you to focus on the loneliness. It wants you to focus on the isolation, focus on shame and guilt and regret and all of those things. But if you can focus your mind on what is working, if you can be certain about who God is for you in this season. I know that when Paul said, I am convinced of this, start asking yourself, what are you convinced of? In the midst of the chaos, what are you convinced of that God is working on your side? What about that situation is convincing you that God is completing the work he started in you? What if God is growing you into the person who can handle that situation, who can handle that circumstance, who can walk away from something without any regret? See, because it doesn't mean for you to stay in the storm. Sometimes letting go of control and embracing uncertainty is literally letting go. What do you need to let go of? What can you be certain about? What is working for you right now? And how can you lift up your prayer with thanksgiving, thanking God Not when you get out the situation, not when you do feel more clear-headed, not when you get the job, not when you get the man. How can you be thankful right now? How can you pray right now? The way to let go of control is to surrender it unto the Lord. And don't get me wrong, I know it's easier said than done. There's a concept that I teach inside of my coaching program, and it's the concept of recognizing. That word recognize means to know again. What are the places in your life that you need to come to know yourself again? You know the old version of you, but who are you today? What can you recognize about yourself from this very thing that's causing you anxiety? How have you gotten to know yourself again? What strengths do you see coming out of you? How is God ripping out your potential, your strength, your confidence through this uncertainty? So in order to let go of control and really embrace uncertainty is to trust God through the process. Practice your new nature. Recognize who you are in Him and come to know yourself again. I'd love for you to rewind this, pause me, write down those questions. Girl, reflect. Reflect. Because it's only through reflection that we grow. It's only through evaluation that we can see what is working for us, what's not working for us, and what we can do differently. If you like today's video and you want more content like this, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button. I love you and I mean it, and I can't wait to see you next week. Peace!